Good morning and welcome to Chaturday Live. I'm your host, Jason Robinson. I hope you're all well. As always, we support mental health awareness and try to raise money for Help for Heroes. So first off, hope you're okay. Hope you're all staying in contact with your loved ones. Remember to stay in contact. We are here for you. That's what this show is about. We are here to support you. So today's show, for those that have kept up with the Facebook Live posts and whatnot, so we have a special guest, Mr Dan Veall, on the show. Bass player extraordinaire, blogger, vlogger, whatever you want to call it. He's going to be on the show talking to us about how he got into the world of music, IT, and much, much more. With what's going on, so we're now available to go out into the public, experience fresh air, and see friends and family, which is fantastic. So I hope you're taking full advantage of that. As always, you're well aware that we do not endorse, we do not promote, and we do not talk about, obviously, the current situation too much. But we do obviously say, wash your hands, cover your face, space, same as everywhere on the internet. So we are in December, so which means it is the Christmas season to be jolly. We're going to be asking some questions to you guys as well throughout the show, so feel free to participate. As always, you know that you could just place comments in the comments section, and if we see them while the show is live, we will read them out, and we will obviously read them out to our guest as well, who will be able to see the comments as we go. So how today's show is going to go, we're going to interview our guest, we're going to talk to you, we're going to talk to everybody, we're going to be speaking about Christmas as well. We have to get it in. Between now and obviously Christmas Day, we're going to probably bombard you, the internet, the same as everybody else, with information on how we're spending it, how you're spending it. Let's stay together as a community. Right, so without any further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest for today, Mr. Dan Veall. So again, if you do have any questions, as always, you know the protocol. At the bottom there, put a Q beforehand in the comments section and we'll read it out live on air. So, without further ado, could you please help me welcome the one and only Mr. Dan Veall? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I do seem a little bit eccentric this morning, don't I? A little bit pumped up. I've had coffee. I'm well away with it.
It's necessary for a Saturday morning. I'm sure that many people are kind of like, what time is this? We're meant to be having a bit of a lay-in, so
yeah.
You know.
Who are you? What time is this? You know, what year is it? Yeah. Right, Mr. Dan Veall, welcome to the show. So before we go into obviously questions and answers and stuff like that, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of a bio about yourself, and then we can elaborate if that's all right. Maybe just say who you are. That would be lovely.
Absolutely. In a short answer then, and hopefully not putting anyone to sleep too quickly, I write for two worldwide music magazines, guitar magazines. So I record video reviews of bass gear and equipment. I write a column for another magazine, like a tech column to help new musicians with how gear works and how best to utilize it in whatever situation. Certainly like playing in a band, for example. What else? I teach privately, so I teach guitar and bass privately from not so sunny Wymondham in Norfolk, and I've been doing that for over 10 years now. So I've got some really, really cool students. Obviously, we're going to be talking about lockdown a little bit and how that's kind of affected everyone. Certainly for musicians, it certainly has. And what else? A little bit of session work as well, so recording with some artists from across the world. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Although, if there are any professional musicians watching, they probably have a 1,000 strings to the bow, as it were, because we tend to just do whatever we can with music, and if it involves being able to pay the gas bill, the chances are guitars will come out in one way or another.
Thank you very much. So we'll elaborate from the beginning then. So, Mr. Dan Veall, how did it all start? So obviously you're now, as you've said, you obviously are involved with magazines, obviously vlogging as they call it nowadays, and all sorts on the internet. As everybody is, they're widely on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, whatever it has to be. But before the dawn of time, where did Dan Veall start out then? So was it teaching? Was it music? Where is your background?
It's so that's a funny one. So now I was just thinking about this before we came online, just thinking about what the journey was. And I think a lot of musicians will have heard this story previously. It's not unusual. It's almost like turning into a bit of an apocryphal internet tale. But you hear a lot of like famous musicians talking about this. I've always been into music. I've always been excited by. I remember watching, Brian May or Freddie Mercury kind of strutting the stage in 1986, playing at Wembley, and just being amazed at what I was looking at. I started playing bass around 1983, I think it was, pre-internet. I think that'd be about right, wouldn't it? And anyway, as anyone does at school, you'd meet the careers officer, and they'd go around the room and ask everyone, what it is they're going to be doing when they leave school. And they got to me and said, what would you like to be? And I said, I'd like to be a session musician. And I got that very, very stern look from the teacher and said, well, that's all well and good, but what do you want to do as a real job? And that's not an unusual story for professional musicians. And thinking, we're very, very lucky with the internet these days. It's so easy to get in contact with, companies and artists, and sharing information is so easy. Whereas back then, I took that as gospel and thought, well, what can I do as a real job? And I'm really interested in electronics. I'm still interested in electronics. And there's various stories throughout my family of me pulling things apart and probably getting into trouble for it. If anything ever broke in the house, that was it. I was having the back off it in no time. So I went and studied electronics, and I guess I did okay with electronics, but unfortunately that work wasn't exactly available at the time because I had certificates, but I had no experience actually in the job. Anyway, cut the story short, I was offered an apprenticeship in IT, so this is getting further and further away from music. But you'll hear actually a lot of people who've given up a day job to go into music. The chances are it's probably something technically based, to go into something creative. They get so sick of like fixing computers, which either do or don't, and kind of almost paying for this almost fuzzy world of being creative and being able to put their heart and soul into something rather than switching it on and off again. I worked in IT for about 15, 16 years. I'll actually go and check my calendar actually and see exactly how long it was. But I worked all my way all the way through IT, from essentially swapping out keyboard and mice to configuring servers for large corporate projects. So,
okay.
How did I get out of it? Redundancy. So, I know redundancy is never a good thing, except when it's an enabler to maybe kind of like being able to follow your heart.
Yeah.
And let's call it a corporate reshuffle meant that engineers were asked to volunteer redundancy. And I just saw it immediately as my way of being able to get into and do something different. So I guess I was lucky that I put so many years in and actually had a package which could then be essentially a business loan.
Okay, yeah.
And then I moved from IT with about 100 different ideas, and I think not really knowing exactly how it was going to play out. I had a plan, but as is with anything, you never quite know how that plan's going to unfold.
All right. So where did it get to? So you've been voluntarily given the boot out of the door with a check, so to speak.
Yeah.
You're wandering the streets of Suffolk and Norfolk, running your hair, going, what am I going to do now? So where does that lead you? So you've got this brilliant idea that you're going to be like the equivalent of the next Steve Jobs and be a millionaire overnight. Obviously, it doesn't always work that way, but where does that lead you from IT to where you are now? What was the next step? Where did luck fall on Mr Dan Veall?
It's funny you should mention Steve Jobs, because actually it's almost kind of the exact opposite. Ask any professional musician, and the chances are it's quite different in terms of salary. Yourself, you'll know, obviously,
yes,
about having sort of been an incredibly talented singer as well as. Yes. We'll talk about that later. I knew that teaching was going to be a good option. You know, I've been playing long enough. I've got a lot of experience both on stage in the studio. Even though I was working in IT, I've always been a musician. You know, being able to plead with line managers to be allowed to leave early on a Friday so I can zoom down to wherever it might be, as far as we could go in an evening to go and play a gig. That wasn't unusual at all. And then like sleeping in until dinner time on a Saturday to make up for it. So that's always been something that I've always done. And I think if anyone else is looking to do music and they actually have a day job as well, is to do exactly the same. It's a bit difficult at the moment, obviously, where we can't actually play any gigs and everyone's scratching their heads going, well, I can't earn any money because we're not actually allowed to play together. But maybe when that changes, when that's lifted and we can go out and play again, then get out and learn your craft, as it were. So it was a strange twist of fate, actually. I ended up talking to the city council, I think, and I don't think they do these anymore, but they were offering incentives at the time. So this is like 10 years ago, for people to learn how to be self-employed, you know, so taxes, marketing, all that kind of stuff. So I took that and I got these vouchers to go and see a company in Norwich. I think they're UK based, actually, called NWES, NWES.
Yeah.
Who train people in all facets of business. So I had some really good sessions with them. I had a business advisor and they gave me a million things that I probably still are not doing now. I mean, there's probably lots of things that I could do to better my output, I guess.
Right.
I guess I've heard this before, but people say that sometimes when you make yourself available to do a certain type of work, that work seems to just almost appear. You've got to go and look for it. I mean, you've got to kind of like put yourself into a position where you're saying to people, look, I can do this kind of work. I'm going to name drop my friend, actually. I'm going to name drop a chap called Carl Cole. Who, I bumped into him. I've known him for a long while, via bands in Norwich, and I actually bumped into him when it was one of the last days I was still employed in IT, and I bumped into him, and invariably when you haven't seen someone for a long while, say, what are you doing? What have you been up to? And explained to him that I'd just been made redundant and I was going to be a professional musician. I was going to teach and I wanted to get into maybe community work. And I think he said, well, we need to go for coffee then, because that's exactly what I'm doing. And I've got, I've got to thank him actually for getting me into one of my, I suppose, first major pieces of work. This is quite a while ago, but it does tie into your support for mental health.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth a mention. There is a prestigious concert hall down in Suffolk called Snape Maltings. The place is absolutely beautiful. There's some shops and things, little craft shops and things around the actual concert hall itself, which is really, really beautiful. It's a lovely place to go to. So when the weather warms up a little bit and you fancy a bit of a day out and you can get there, then definitely go to Snape Maltings, or maybe when we're allowed, go and watch a concert there, because the actual concert hall is amazing. It's Benjamin Britten's kind of stomping ground, as it were.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was offered some volunteering down there, where the education department in Snape Maltings was doing a project to support young adults with special or complex needs. So, anything from some form of disablement or autism or something like that. And I was very, very lucky, because my volunteering there meant that I was then able to become part of the actual team itself, writing the actual project to deliver to our community group. Now, that was amazing. That was absolutely incredible. I did that for about 2.5 years or so. So hi to the team down there if they happen to be watching, because that part of work was incredibly enriching, I guess for us, but also for the group that we're working with as well.
Dan, I need to apologise as well as reiterate. So on the mass of internet and how the F-ups could possibly go wrong. We are live, so don't worry. But it turns out that I was only live on my personal Facebook page. And the Chaturday live page wasn't live. And YouTube wasn't live. So we've done the first 15 minutes talking to just one viewer, which probably is my mum. I don't know.
Hey, Mum.
But while we were talking, I've managed to edit it. So we are now live on YouTube and live on Chaturday Live. So again, good morning. I do apologise that we are running late for anybody sitting there with a cup of coffee going, where are they? We are here. It was my mess up. Good morning. Once again, just a quick introduction. My name's Jason Robinson. Welcome to Chaturday Live. I'm your host. Next to me on my right, possibly your left, depending on how your phone does. Yeah, I know you've got to do it all backwards, haven't you? I've got Mr Dan Veall, music extraordinaire. Pretty much any aspect of the four corners of the world where it comes to music. Dan's probably had his finger in many pies around the world. We're just elaborating the starts and finishes of Dan's career. So, Mr Dan Veall started his illustrious life into music, but it started off with IT, which a lot of people probably now in the music industry are studying IT because of music, because of the way that it's now integrated and gone further forward. Yes, Laura cannot get the stuff. Look, I can, if you can see this, Dan, look, first comment that comes in. Cheers, Laura. Thank you very much. Laura was one of our guests, and thank you very much for tuning in, Laura. Yeah, so we've gone from that. We've gone from, obviously, you becoming a music teacher to pay the bills and obviously keep the lights on in the house. And then you've now you got offered an illustrious job in the music career with, you were just saying, with a theatre company. Please go back into that then. So,
yeah, for sure. So, I guess I wanted to talk about it specifically because of your support for mental health, and I just want to jump in and say what you're doing is absolutely and utterly brilliant. I think bringing this show and actually being able to deliver it to basically anyone who's got a computer, I think is absolutely fantastic, especially in these times of being locked down. And there's a lot of people who, they're on their own. I mean, it could be like a single person, or maybe someone who has a small family or something like that, where they're not allowed to get out, or they can't get out. Maybe they sort of live quite away from people. And obviously being sort of in rural Norfolk, that was not even an accent.
Norfolk?
I mean, sort of like not wanting to even jump on the bus because of risk and the like. At least being able to listen to some kind of like rambling musician or whatever on a Saturday morning, I'm hoping that'll be interesting. I just wanted to say that I think this show is a really cool idea.
Well, Dan, thank you.
On the support for mental support. Health,
I think elaborating on that, I mean, I'm just an absolute nobody in one small corner of the world. It's just trying to do a little bit that I can give back. And for those that have watched the show, and especially with you, Dan, we'll go into how we actually know each other very soon. But I think, as musicians, which we are, entertainers, which we are, the idea of not going to work, which is our job, is to offer some sort of entertainment to the general public. Yeah, that is, it's soul crushing, really. That you wake up and I would like to say the reason why I do this show is because obviously for mental health, I want to support people that are alone, and obviously those that are suffering from mental health. The ones that are suffering the most are the ones that will never tell you. Which is a common fact, because you'll find the ones that suffer from mental health are the ones that are like, can I do anything for you? I will be there for you. If you need me, call me at 1 o'clock in the morning. I will get in my car and I will come see you. Yeah. Because they have the fear of never wanting to let anybody down, or especially never wanting to show the emotion that they're probably having a bit of a hard time. So we are here for them. Take a rest, take 5, have a cup of tea. It's okay to talk to somebody. You can talk to me. And as I've always said, I always put my guests in the spotlight and say, you may not know Dan from Adam, but feel free to go on one of his pages and just say, hi Dan, I'd like to know a little bit more about what you do. Do you mind if we have a chat? all my guests are happy to talk about their careers and,
Absolutely.
get in touch. That's what this show is about. But yeah, so thank you very much. And, again, we are coming into December now. It is the time of year where we really want to be with people, friends and family. Sometimes maybe not necessary, but, think of my guests and myself in the show as, your family. You can contact us anytime. So enough about our little waffle about the show. So yeah, elaborating on. Thank you, Dan. So you've now many moons ago, as it probably feels now, you've been given this opportunity to obviously you've got to decide. Well, I'm going to maybe do some teaching of music. I'm going to maybe get involved. So this company that you said there that it was in Norfolk then. So where did that end to then? You went and did some work there.
Yeah. Okay. So as a quick, recap, I'd been made redundant. I used as part of my redundancy package as I guess a sort of a personal business loan in order to kind of start up as a professional musician and teacher, and I had this opportunity to volunteer at and I'm going to keep saying prestigious concert hall. Prestigious. The place. I mean, it's one of those places. Sometimes you go to a place and you just marvel at it and you think, this place is amazing. Even if you don't have any kind of particular connection to it, the place is incredible. So Snake Maltings down in Suffolk, it is a concert hall. It's, as I mentioned earlier on, it's Benjamin Britten's stomping ground, and there's a lot of Benjamin Britten related stuff throughout the whole site. The site itself has got some nice little craft shops and things like that. So even if you're not going there for a concert, definitely find a nice sunny day to pop and have a wander around there when we're allowed to roam free again. So within the concert hall complex, there's an education department.
Yep.
Which has, of course, being a concert hall, there is a massive tie to the community. And the education department also has a strong tie to community in delivering different projects. So various young musician projects are there. Any sort of opportunity to bring music and the arts to the community is championed. And I worked for the education department for again, I think it was about 2 years or so, maybe 2.5 years, where on this particular occasion, we were delivering a project for young adults with specialised or more sort of complex needs. Quite a varying range, but also included the likes of autistic students and I guess, that and various ranges of able-bodiedness. I think that's not the correct description, is it? It's too early in the morning still. I've kind of I haven't had a coffee yet.
I think on this show we don't specify in PC in common language because tomorrow it will be different. But yeah, people that have disabilities, we'll just leave it. We'll just leave it as disabilities.
Thank you. That's the word I was actually searching for. I would like to quickly pepper this with when we talk about some of my other work. I'm really used to talking to other people about them. I'm used to talking to camera about things, but not me. So this actually, although I do work in front of the camera, this actually feels a little bit strange. So I'm going to just apologise up front and say...
Don't apologise. Do not apologise. This is probably the most laid-back show you'll ever see.
It's great. I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. Just like sitting there drinking your water. It's going to be okay. So, right, we'll go into... We'll jump forward in time a little bit, if we may. So, you've got... So, you're profound. You've got bass, guitar under your belt. Obviously, you've got the teaching element is firing underway, shall we say. You're helping out the community by doing bits and bobs like that. So where did Dan Veall, I mean, obviously everybody likes to say, well, I'm moving up a step in what I do. Now, I've mentioned obviously in the comments building up that you are now part of, you're in an illustrious world of editing and obviously blogging, vlogging and magazines and stuff like that. Yeah. So from where you were to get there, how did that happen? Where did that spring into your mind to go, hey, I'm going to venture out and see if I can, get my work out there a bit more?
Yeah, Now, as I said before, I mean, when you find yourself in music and you say, I'm a professional musician, and you make yourself available to do things, doors are more likely to be available to open rather than, if nobody knows that you do it, then the chances are nobody's going to talk about it, nobody will offer anything.
Yeah.
And funny enough, actually doing the work at Snape Maltings, there's another area of that work that maybe we'll get a chance to touch on later on. But Lizzie, our leader, hi Lizzie, I think it was Lizzie who said basically you've got to say yes.
Right.
Because in this line of work, there's lots and lots of other people who want to do the same thing as well. So if anyone's thinking of getting into doing session work or whatever it is, I think there's some sort of Richard Branson quote which says something like, say yes first and then figure out how to do it later. Which is kind of majorly outside of your comfort zone. And I think actually you will progress and build as a person by stepping out into your sort of the outside of your comfort zone as much as possible. So what happened was another name drop actually. There is a very talented guitarist called Andy James. He's big props to him, amazing guitarist. He started working for a company called Lick Library,
right,
who do tuition DVDs and things like that. And he, I think on occasion said, you should do this kind of stuff. You'd be quite good at it. You're a bassist. They don't have a bass department as such. And Lick Library had been doing tuition DVDs and have kind of moved more to online streaming now, I suppose. Yep. And by that point, you have to excuse me for sort of jumping around the story, but as a professional musician, by that point, I'd already got some endorsements with some major bass brands to look after me whilst I'm gigging and all that kind of stuff. And I had a phone call from Lick Library themselves, and they said, "Oh, what are you doing this Thursday?" It was a quite short notice thing. Well, actually, I'm coming down to Romford because I'm going to watch what's called a clinic. We watch. Maybe you have like some famous musicians, some well-known musicians, and they'll either be kind of promoting an album or demonstrating the gear that they use, or maybe it's like a tuition, a small group tuition thing.
Yep.
So I said, "Oh yeah, I'm coming down to come and watch this this clinic featuring one of my favourite bassists, actually, a guy called Dave Ellefson, who plays with the band Megadeth, and he was going with his close friend Frank Bello, who plays for another metal band called Anthrax." Right. Now, this kind of like stuff I was certainly listening to as a little teen or whatever, and getting quite excited by the movement of bass in music. I'm coming down to a clinic. I want to come and watch these guys, playing their stuff, because you can sit really close at a music clinic. There might be kind of between 30 to 200 people on it. It's kind of quite a small thing, I suppose. And Lick Library turned around and said, "That's great, because we need someone to come down and interview them." Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, and that's you. Oh, okay. Well, I've never actually done that before. So my first involvement with what is later to become the magazine that I work for, which I'll go back on that in a moment, was actually being sat in front of, essentially to me, a bass guitar god, and interviewing them in the same way that we're sort of having a chat today. But obviously, like someone like that. It was a very, very exciting and certainly outside my comfort zone moment. Anyway, cut the story short, Lick Library's sister company is a company called Guitar Interactive Magazine.
Right.
I have now been recording videos and reviews for them for 10 years now. So I've got about 350 odd videos in the magazine, but also on YouTube, where I review guitar gear for a living, which is a little bit like a kid in a sweet shop. It's they send me something new and shiny, and I get to play with it I then talk to the camera about what it can do and if I like it or not. And then because it's a job, then I also get some sort of recompense. I get I paid to do this job as well. So
do you get to keep it?
No, no. It's very, very different. I mean, back in the days of record labels throwing thousands of pounds worth of at bands to record albums and buy cars and things like that. That just simply doesn't happen now. It's just the whole business has changed quite a lot.
I think while I've got it in my head, I want to ask a question that you know. It's a behind the scenes question of what people like you do.
Okay.
Are you swayed to be unhonest, or can you really turn around in a live video and go for 5 minutes, get in there and go, the pickups on this particular guitar, I wouldn't feed to a duck or something like that? Can you be like honest, or have you got to be like the same as like you'd see on like Top Gear, and kind of like be politely negative about things and go, you can upgrade said strings and pickups if necessary to get you a different sound or something? Can you be brutal, or have you got to kind of be a little bit coy, be honest?
I guess I can be honest.
Yeah.
I can say what I want. There's never been a time when we've not been able to be honest about something. I think what's really, really interesting is the kind of, if you spend £100 on a guitar now, versus spending £100 on a guitar when I first started, it's so different. It's so different, and even maybe staying away from some kind of like unknown stuff on eBay, which I wouldn't probably recommend anyone bought anyway. If you stuck with any of the kind of like brands which anyone would say, try these out, it's actually quite difficult to find something which is really bad. On the occasion where I could have said something really bad is because the poor thing didn't actually make the journey, and without getting too technical, the neck on this bass guitar was like a banana. It obviously had a bad time being shipped. So there was nothing good to say about it, but we wouldn't have reviewed it anyway because that's unfair. But I am tactful, I would say. But certainly in Guitar Interactive, we're really, really lucky because our mantra, if you want to call it that, is if it's in the magazine, then we like it.
Yes. Okay.
Because there is a problem, because there is so much gear out there. There's so much gear. We've got to kind of, have some kind of filter, or otherwise we're going to have like a room full of thousands and thousands of pieces of equipment. So chances are, even if it is like £100, we are reviewing this because we think this £100 item is actually worth playing, like having. Which still means we've got 350 odd videos of bass stuff, but I mean there's probably thousands of guitar videos. I mean the magazine is predominantly guitar, and I have
your corner of it.
Awards, a section in the magazine. The magazine is free to read.
Yep.
It's online, so hence the reason why you can watch videos, and a lot of the videos are shared on YouTube as well. So if you have to be looking for a particular piece of kit, certainly bass kit, then I guess there's a chance that you'll see my mug kind of like rambling on about it.
So in brief and nice and clear to the camera, what is the website?
guitarinteractivemagazine.com.
Right. So
that's
if you're if you want to go over there and look at some of Dan's reviews, then obviously that's the place to go and find out. I guess the question then, if we can like grill you a little bit more about it. So you're getting equipment code through, and obviously the reason why you've got the equipment, and if it makes into the magazine, i.e. the video, interviews and stuff like that, if you've made it that far, then the equipment itself. But I guess, like you say, if you ever got anything, I mean, if you go back in the day, before maybe me and you were like gigging and stuff, there was only probably maybe 1, 2 or 3 major manufacturers of like PA and like the good guitars that you would probably use. What you were getting. I mean, if you go back, and everybody at some point has probably had like a PV amp or or something like a HK and stuff like that, because you know where you're going. Like now, you go into a music shop, and if you go into like one maybe like a major city, you go in there, and your face just melts because there's just so many different varieties, which I guess is literally the candy that makes your job, because you have things to review rather than just go, hi, we're reviewing another Ibanez bass today. Do you know what I mean? It's like there are thousands of things out there. Like you say, it's if you were starting out and I go, right, okay, you're coming to me, I'm asking you a question, I don't own a bass. Right, Dan, I'm going to pick up a bass guitar, I'm going to pop down my music shop. I mean, a starter one that's not going to cost me millions, but it's going to give me what I need. I mean, could you on air kind of roll off maybe an idea for us where to start? Especially if there was a kid out there that's thinking maybe for Christmas, oh, I want a bass guitar. What's my mum going to get me? Maybe preferably not something that costs £19,000.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I will take this opportunity to advertise again then very, very quickly for those who are thinking about or even actually own the piece of equipment already and are not really familiar. I mean, you get the manual with a piece of equipment and it'll tell you it's got a volume knob and things like that. In January, and I'm going to share this because I'm really excited about it actually. There is when I was younger, I used to read a magazine called Bassist magazine. Right. Which, to be honest, is kind of part of the answer of your question, is basically reading stuff. Find outlets that talk about equipment and see who's saying what, and you can kind of get an idea about what gear is good and what isn't, and get familiar with a lot of brands. But since January, I've been writing for Bass Player magazine. So Bass Player magazine is a massive US magazine, and Bass Guitar magazine in the UK has now glued the two together. It's now Bass Player magazine, and I'm super excited because I get to write for Bass Player magazine as well in a column about how things work. Right. So if you've got a particular pedal and you've got all these knobs and switches and dials and things like that, and you're not really sure how it works, then I will try and save you the hassle of searching all those pages by giving a beginner's guide to how a lot of that stuff works. Certainly, hopefully, as we go along, I will have a column on bass guitars themselves, but right now I've been diving into amplifiers, pedals, and the actual individual components of instruments, such as pickups, as you said a moment ago. But in answer to your question, a lot of it, we're really, really lucky. We have the internet now. We have people doing reviews. Even if it's someone sat in their front room, just playing a few notes on their brand new bass and getting excited about it, you can start getting an idea about the kind of maybe the shapes and sounds that you might like. And as I said, get more familiar with some of the major brands, which is kind of a good way to go. A lot of the brands, such as Yamaha, Fender, Ibanez, you mentioned earlier on, Court. There's a lot of brands which are mass producing everything from entry-level instruments to proper pro prestige lines. And mostly, I can't go wrong with those. If you're an absolute beginner on a tight budget, then one of those from a well-known brand is going to stand you in good stead, especially supporting local businesses. We've got some great shops in Norwich. Hello, guys. Thanks for looking after me for years as well.
Name drop. Which shop?
We've got to mention, plug for them, Cook's Band Instruments on Benedict Street in Norwich City. Hi, guys. And also Professional Music Technology. I forget the road name. I'm so sorry, guys. Not prepared. They're pretty easy to find. pmtonline.co.uk, I think. Anyway, they are our biggest shops, I believe. I don't think I've missed anyone else. Great selection of gear, great advice, very honest. And I've known the guys probably played in bands with most of them over the years, actually. So that's a really good place to go as well. I think with the amount of online shops that are now available, the bricks and mortar businesses, I think, are working a lot harder to offer the customer experience. I mean, it's so easy just to buy anything from a particularly well-known online seller who delivers things almost daily. But being able to go to a shop and feel like that you're being given really good usable advice, and actually they are putting things on your lap which are worth buying, I think is actually really important. So for a beginner, I would say get down the shops. Don't be afraid. Go down and try stuff out, ask questions. I could talk about guitars all day, so send me a message. I'm more than happy to ramble on about it. And it's
so that's guitars and bass guitars, in general. Then
Oh well, I mean, like Cook's band instruments, PMT for example, they do a whole range of things: guitars, basses, drums, straps, cases, strings, leads.
I mean, with my musical experience, I mean, I'm not afraid to say that I'm a grade 6 on the triangle, but that takes years of experience, and it's not for everybody, and I'm now literally going in for my masters on level 5 tambourine. So it's I've got a career ahead of me. I'm aware of that. Don't knock the tambourine, man. Yeah, literally, is that a song title there? Is it you're going for? Don't knock the tambourine, man. That's it. I think. Yeah, so, while we've got this moment, especially with what's going on in the world there, I mean, I don't know if you're aware, we had a music shop owner on the show previously, Mr. Pete Lister, from Lister's Guitars. So same again, and he literally just swore by the Bible saying, you can go on the internet and you can buy guitars and instruments. Anyone can, any budget. You can go on there and go, look, I have for 150 quid, can I buy a guitar? Yes, it will be delivered tomorrow, not a problem. Yeah. But music shops in general, you go there and go, I want to buy a Yamaha guitar. That's my first one. I'm going to buy it. And you sit down and go, yes, but what kind of music are you going to play? Yeah. How do you feel about it? So, well, I'm really into playing like indie music. I said, well, then you probably don't want that guitar. You probably want the pickups or the neck or something or the body shape of this guitar. Are you sitting up, sitting down? So, if anybody's watching into music, which I hope at some point somebody will re-watch this and say, yes, I am, check out your local music store wherever you live, because these people are probably now on the other end of COVID. I know it's a swear word at the moment, but on the other end of COVID-19, when we come out of it, these guys are going to be grateful to see you, and the information that they've stored up over this untimely period as well. They would have been doing their homework, knowing what's coming out, what's going to be available. So when you're ready to go back into the shops comfortably, these guys are going to be full of the knowledge, ready to tell you, hey, we've got it here. So yes, if you need something next day, it's an emergency and you've got a gig, we understand you need to order a pedal. But if you're looking to have a fiddle around, an experience with new instruments and ideas, please check out your local shops. And as we say, support small businesses.
Absolutely. Sorry, go on.
No, go, please.
No, I was just going to interfere and say that I think with music shops, is that pretty much everyone who works in a music shop is probably a musician. The chances are very, very high. And these are kind of like people who, they've gigged hard. They've done stages. They've done load-ins and load-outs at 2:00 in the morning, and they know what is good. They know what. Pete is a great musician, as well as having a shop. I mean, the guys at the other two shops as well. They're, aside from lockdown, would be out gigging pretty much every weekend, and I think it's really, really important when you go and speak to someone in a shop, and these guys generally do know what they're talking about. Musicians, as he's saying, we're a bit pent up actually. I was watching a little video advertising a rehearsal rooms, and there was a singer on there saying that musicians kind of live for performing in one way or another.
Yes.
And if you're the kind of musician who likes performing on stage, and it's fine if you don't, I mean, there's plenty of musicians who perform as a remote session artist. They never actually leave the home, kind of thing.
Yeah.
At the moment, it feels a little bit like we're missing a leg. So I suspect that these musicians will probably be more than happy to talk to anyone about performing or gear or anything like that as any way of just having some sort of outlet to what we're not allowed to do at the moment.
Yeah, I think thank God for social media that obviously musicians can hopefully in this time record and publish and do things from home and try and get on the internet so people remember who they are, because it feels like COVID-19 is it's like wiping out the dinosaurs. You've wiped out the arts quite rapidly and you've left people wandering around. It's if you can imagine people go, oh, musicians, whatever, we don't really care, it's not the end of the world. And then you're sitting there going, where would I normally be on a Friday or Saturday night? Oh, that's right. I'd be down the pub listening to a local band. Or, or I'd be like picking up and go, hey, how come such and such hasn't released an album in the last 4 weeks?
Yeah.
It's because they can't. They can't get together. They can't do it. So we're missing out on music. So, going off on a tangent about, supporting the arts and stuff like that. We want you, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. It is a really serious situation. I mean, I've been a member of the Musicians Union since I started as a professional musician.
Yeah.
And you've only got to look at some of their posts, Musicians Union or ISM. They are certainly bringing it to a wider audience, exactly how bad things are. I was reading some statistics from another outlet saying that a particular percentage of people who work in the arts will be out of work by December or something like that. In the grand scheme of things, that percentage is way too low. It's way more serious, and that involves everyone from grassroots right up to major touring bands and concert halls, and even Blind Joe, the three-finger blues guitarist. I mean, he is not getting his outlet either. So there's a mental health sort of aspect with that as well. So it is very, very serious. Lots and lots of people are worried, really concerned. And I mean, if you've got any money concerns, that's going to be bad enough anyway. From worry about how you're going to pay the next bill or whatever it might be. So definitely. If you're listening to music, if you're kind of streaming music for free, just go out and buy an album. Go and say hi to one of your favourite musicians. The wonders of the internet these days is that you can actually do that. I mean, when I first started, the disconnect between a listener and an artist was, you'd never have the chance. Well, I wouldn't have the chance to go and talk to one of my favourite bassists unless I sent him a letter or something, with no guarantee of get that. Now you can send someone a message and go, "Hi, I'm on Facebook." And so do you. It's so good. So I mean, if there's a band that you love, then just
show some
make
love.
it known. Because if anyone says to you, "What's your favourite song?"
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have any music, I mean, you don't have thousands of songs to actually kind of pick from, do you? It's you don't, no longer go, what's my favourite song? There's just so many. I mean, if we're not supporting musicians and they all kind of have chucked it in and gone and done a job that they hate in comparison, then I don't know. I think that's it's sad, So
I think if there is anybody out there, we're going to be touching on the fact that it's December very, very soon and asking the very, very crucial, important questions. So make sure you stick around. But if you do have any questions for Dan about music or the performing arts or anything like that, please put them in the comments section. Get involved. We are an interactive show, other than you can't draw on each other's faces, but we are interactive. You can get involved on all platforms. Just put in the comments section. We are that. Yes, it. Right. So we've gone now. So you've worked your way up. You're a music teacher. You're now obviously a reviewer of musical instruments and the tech that goes with it. Obviously, with the current situation, as I can see right behind you, you've got your own little studio set up, so you're still doing what you need to do from your home environment. Where can people find your personal stuff, Mr. Dan Veall? Like, where can people find you after this? You know, plug Dan.
Plug Dan.
Plug Dan.
I almost need to do it in that voice, don't I? I mean, mostly most of the social media platforms, so Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, example. Dan Veall, bassist. So Veall with a double L, as you can see on the bottom of the screen there. So Dan Veall, bassist. I must admit, I kind of like, I'm still finding my feet with my own personal vlog, as it were. I'm putting together a YouTube channel, Dan Veall, bassist, as well. Kind of historically, because I've been doing so many videos for the magazine and writing the column for Bass Player as well, my own social media has kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. And I think a lot of musicians will agree that, this, although lockdown has been pretty rubbish, it's also been a time to kind of notch up a gear and think about how other ways we can get ourselves out there. For whatever our personal needs are, if it's financial or just feeling like we need to be heard. So Dan Veall bassist. So I've created a YouTube channel with not a massive amount on it at the moment. I would love your support, even to just go and look at my page and see that there's not a huge amount. But I tend to repost things from the magazine anyway, so there's bits and bobs. But also, if I manage to pull my finger out, I realise that having reviewed so many pieces of bass gear and guitar gear, maybe I'm not so bad at it. I will have a go at reviewing anything small, the kind of thing which will fit on my desk. So what started off as a bit of a joke, I've actually created a YouTube channel called DoodTube, DOODTUBE. My childhood nickname, should I say, is Dude. And that's a story for another day. I don't know if I'm going to go there. I suspect probably one of my family members who's probably watching this will end up making a comment. I don't know if they're even watching, for that matter. They've heard this story a million times. So I created this channel where I might have a go at reviewing anything. Send me a chocolate biscuit and I'll try and review it. I don't know. It's a bit of fun.
Yes.
But from the music point of view, if you want to get hold of me to ask about guitar gear, bass gear, or anything like that, Dan Veall, bassist, Instagram, Facebook, soon to be YouTube. That is probably the best way to find me at the moment.
We will make sure that we put that in the comments section, and we will do another comment after the show has gone out, re-advertising where to find you. So I'm going to get changed into something a little bit more comfortable, Dan. Hold the phone. I'm
now a bit worried.
Don't be worried. It's worth it.
Should I do some filler?
So that's nice. That's probably a little bit snug, actually. I'm probably going to lose a lot of blood to the head.
That's nice.
So it's happening. It's December. We are here, and the most important question of Christmas, and I'd like the people that are viewing or still to view at some point in the future, if you're watching this back, still put some comments in the comments section. Right, I want to know yours, and I say you as in Dan, and the commenters and viewers. What is your go-to movie? Christmas movie. It's December. What are you putting on the TV? Give me the Christmas movie.
It's got to be Elf. It's got to be Elf.
Elf. With Will Ferrell.
Yes.
That is a classic. It is a classic.
Yeah, it is. I don't know why, because there's loads of other movies which kind of, obviously growing up, and the the Christmas movie which you have to sit in front of after eating a truckload of sprouts that nobody really wanted. I don't know why Elf actually just sprang to mind. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That's the one.
Guys, if you're watching, just comment your Christmas movie go-to. Christmas movie go-to. Put it in the comments. We'll just add it onto the show. Let's keep it interesting. Now, I'm going to embarrass myself and my family members because there's a funny Christmas tradition with my parents-in-law, and I love you very much. I won't name drop who they are. I won't embarrass you. But there was a Christmas where we were sitting around their house ready for Christmas, and they watched, I think, the same film 4 times in one day in different varieties. I don't know if you've ever gone back that far. It's called It's a Wonderful Life. It's a very classic, very old Christmas movie.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Yeah,
and we watched it, it was on TV, so we watched it in black and white.
Yeah.
And then the parents-in-law had it in remastered on DVD, so we watched it there.
Wow.
And then they went out and watched it in the cinema the same day because they were showing it, and then came back and wanted to watch it again. So I think I watched it 4 times in one day.
That's amazing.
So that's commitment. It's a good film. It's a good film. So I'll let them off. But like you say, everybody has a different film. So while the people are catching up, and they're obviously going to comment, surely, please do, with your favourite Christmas movie. Mine is The Grinch. I love it. Obviously, the one with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, of course.
Not the cartoon version. The one with Jim Carrey. The wife knows at Christmas period. If I'm having a down day, I've got my jogger bottoms on, I'm sitting there and I'm going to go through the whole box of Celebrations, Heroes, other chocolates are available. I'll sit there and I know it word for word. Is that bad? Is that bad that I know? Because obviously the story, but I know the narration. So when the film actually starts, it's like, I'm watching it and then the wife is just sitting there like...
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, there's quite a few films that, I absolutely love, but... we said this quickly offline actually. There are songs that I have loved for absolutely years. I've no idea what they're about because I actually hardly ever listen to lyrics, and kind of being able to quote things like scripts from films and things. I usually get it wrong.
Yes. Don't
get me to tell a joke because the chances are I'm the kind of person who has the bad timing or just can't remember the punchline. So that is actually quite impressive. I'm going to give you props on that.
I think with while we're on it then, so please, again, if you are watching, comment. We are waiting. We are waiting for at least one of you to comment. There are people out there. And then, again, with Christmas song. When is it Christmas in the Veall household? What is the Christmas song that you go, it's Christmas? That song's come on the radio.
I want to tell you a little story. About kind of like when Christmas starts. It's probably Slade, isn't it? I mean, at some point you're gonna hear. As I said, it's kind of. I like music, and certainly Christmas songs that have some kind of interesting movement or bass line. Sad to say, it's probably the ones that I probably prefer over the lyric content, maybe. So I guess it's that. But I wanted to quickly tell you something. Going back to mental health support and the like. Mm-hmm. Whilst I was working with the same team that I was working with at Snake Maltings, mm-hmm. we used to run a little Christmas impromptu get-together would probably be the best way to describe it. Down at I think it's the Adventure Centre in Thetford. I forget the name of the actual place itself. Anyway, at Christmas we would get there, and again it was they would run clubs and groups for people that have some specialised or more complex needs. And we would go and do this kind of very impromptu Christmas concert, and we would just have a laugh with it. We'd get the lyrics wrong. People would get up and have a go at singing, and it was all a bit kind of just a bit of a musical shambles. It was quite early in December as well because of all the other things that they had to do at the centre. Very, very busy. So even that early in December, it felt very, very Christmassy. You'd kind of like go away from that, probably covered in tinsel and cake or something like that. But that was a very, very Christmassy sort of moment where you'd rattle through Christmas carols where nobody really knew what the lyrics were, even though they were on like a big old school projector, kind of like essentially printed on the wall. Nobody could read it that far anyway. And we would kind of like just joke our way through the chords, and it was a very, very light and happy affair. So, Christmas carols performed moderately well. Having a laugh with everyone was actually a really good Christmassy feeling. So,
Yes.
maybe Slade versus all of those would be my very long and windy answer.
No, that's fine. Christmas comes around when everybody has their own interpretation. Now, again, friends and family that know me very well. Christmas does not start in my household. No decorations, no music. We don't even mutter the words of Christmas in our house until the Coca-Cola advert comes on TV. Until you see that Coca-Cola lorry and you hear holidays are coming, holidays. Then it becomes Christmas. So I think my worst Christmas was, I think I made it till about like the 15th of December without actually seeing it. When I had like family members messaging me on social media and privately going, I've seen the advert. I'm like, I haven't. Christmas hasn't started. Leave me alone. You know, that sort of thing. So everybody has their own Christmas traditions. And if we're going on about traditions, that, you know, I've got 2 more shows till Christmas, but my last show, which is going to be fantastic, which I will give you maybe more information about later on today, is my mother always buys me the same Christmas present every year.
Right.
Now, I have deliberately moved 370 miles away from my mother, because, you know, I'm joking, I love you, mother, if you're watching. But there'd always be the same little present underneath the tree, and it'd be a tin of Spam.
Spam?
Yeah, Spam.
Really?
Because, yeah, right. I don't know where it started, because, yeah. So, just a tin of Spam. I think it was. I really like Spam, and people are going to probably start throwing up in their mouths, because not everybody loves Spam, of course. But it was like a joke many, many years ago. It's just like, I just like Spam. I just said, and then my mum would go, "What do you want for Christmas?" I'm like, tin of Spam, and it stuck. So every year under the tree, you'd be like, "This gift is from Mother." And you go, "Yeah, I know what that is." So if the postman delivers one all this way, tin of Spam will be quite surprised. But
that's lovely.
It's something stupid.
Yeah.
We all have something like stupid little traditions and stuff like that. So I mean, it's nice. So yeah, with Christmas looming, you know, like you say, it's nice to look forward to the good things, and especially we do like to touch again on the current situation. Don't let this year ruin your Christmas, regardless whether you may or may not be with the family that you wish to be with. There is always a family out there that wants to spend it with you. So although I cannot possibly travel 370 miles back to Suffolk, where I'm originally from, I will be spending it with my family and people over the internet. Thank God for Zoom, Skype, and all sorts. You know, don't forget, you're not alone. Somebody's there. Pick up the phone over Christmas. You know, or again, you can message me on Christmas Day. Another Christmas tradition that I may get slated for. I don't open Christmas presents until the afternoon. I don't get up in the morning and run downstairs under the tree head first and go, I need to open my presents. We have a tradition that we have Christmas dinner, and then we sit down, and then we open our presents. And then some people would think I'm crazy for that, but here's my reasoning behind it, and if you agree, please do say so. Christmas Day, picture the scene. Lovely, it's snowing outside, probably not in England. You run downstairs, you open your gifts. Bearing in mind, this is now 5:20 in the morning, and you don't know why you're up that early. You've all opened your gifts, all right? You're all playing with whatever it is you've got, you know, or look forward to getting. Great, you've got that. And then you're watching on the TV, you know, obviously London or whatever, you know, there's Big Ben and Christmas, and everybody's having fun. Great. And then you have Christmas dinner. Yeah, great, fantastic fun. Again, was like overloaded with sprouts. And then you sit down and watch Only Fools and Horses reruns.
Sure.
And then come to about 4 o'clock. That's it. It's your day over, unless somebody. And then you just normally get someone screaming from the kitchen. Anybody want a turkey sandwich? You know. So my way of thinking is, if I have a good lay-in, I get up, I have my breakfast, you know, my cooked breakfast or something like that. Get dinner on, play some music, maybe you know. Maybe I might, now I've got a child of my own, maybe open one Christmas present. But if I do the presents after Christmas dinner, that's made my day longer because we're now enjoying opening presents and stuff like that. So I prolong my day to have it longer at the end rather than do it all sooner. So each to their own. And there's nothing better, and there's nothing better than watching a poor child have to wait on Christmas Day to open their gifts.
Oh, you mean? Oh,
you're anyone, Mr. Grinch. There you go. That's probably where it comes from. I'm just evil all over.
I'll make them pay. I had to when I was young.
I know.
To be honest, it's a similar story. I mean, when we spend Christmas with aunts and uncles, I was very, very young, of course. And so we used to get up and do breakfast first. There was that prolonging kind of thing where you felt like you're, made to wait. But that's cool, that's good. And then it seemed to me that Christmas dinner actually happened later in the day.
Yeah.
So maybe we kind of like, the obligatory sausage rolls and would kind of pop out. So after breakfast, you're opening and, you're being full up with...
Do you do the party sausage rolls in the morning? Do you get those out?
You can't not. one Christmas, so when we moved up to Norfolk, my mum said, I'm sorry, Mum, I'm really sorry. But it's great though, because it's perfect. I mean, when you make Christmas, make it your own and don't follow what everybody else tells you you should or shouldn't do. Yes. But she said, do you know what? I'm not so sure about the Christmas dinner. Can we actually be bothered to go with the whole Christmas dinner thing? Let's chuck a whole bunch of stuff in the oven instead, which we did. And do you know what? I really remember that Christmas because, the party sausage rolls came out. I mean, I think she bought one of these massive, great bags of sausage rolls with the intention that we'd only have a few that day. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that we scoffed most of them and washed them down with all the things that I shouldn't have been drinking as a 13-year-old or how
we are not registered by anybody. If you are of our age group and possibly older, if you didn't on Christmas Day have the beer stubbies, you're allowed one beer stubby.
What was that? Yeah, the little green ones.
The little French bottles that you'd get from the supermarket, probably in a crate, wooden crate, and then you get those. You go, can have one, mix it with lemonade. I ain't having lemonade. I'm rock hard. Strutting around the kitchen with my little stubby. I think it was probably like 1%. I don't think it was even really.
Can't imagine it strong, actually.
But we'll all remember the Christmas stubby. But yeah, we're talking about stuff that's probably highly illegal. But at the end of the day, we don't care.
We don't condone this particular.
We don't condone giving children alcohol at Christmas, although it does make the day flow a lot easier. So it's up to you. And I think the other argument as well, before because we're just gone totally off the subject today. We're talking about Christmas now. Okay. What is the last chocolate left in your celebrations box? Which was the one that people don't eat in your household?
I'm not a fan of hard centres. Like kind of like the sort of the toffee ones. Like the toffees would generally get left if it was my own stash. Yeah. But I'm a little bit fussy about chocolates, if I'm honest.
Really?
So I like some, the orange chocolate, mint chocolate, things like that. Yeah. But actually, I was literally just having a conversation with my mum about this the other day. She's in my bubble.
Yes.
So probably, obviously chat online quite a lot. Anyway, we were talking about the problem with soft centres and coffee ones. They're just not right, are they? They never quite get the coffee flavour. And don't even get me started on those strawberry ones. I mean, what is this? This doesn't taste anything like strawberries. I'm probably overcooking it a little bit, but I certainly for Mum, she'll leave those behind. I don't like after eights. It's like, I kind of like mint chocolate. Yeah. Oh no. So it varies depending on the selection that you're given. I think sometimes.
I'm going to go out on a branch and say, there is no chocolate left behind because I like Bounties, so that gets a view in my house. I like Bounties. Anybody that says they don't like Bounties just doesn't have chocolate. Full stop. It's a taste sensation, And yes, I think if there was ever one left in a chocolate box, it is going to be that long orange toffee one in Quality Streets. That's the
one.
That's only because I appreciate having my teeth. And I'm not ready to pull them out with toffee just yet. So each to their own. So obviously we've got on a Christmas tangent. Get rid of that. Okay.
That's good.
Right. So again, Dan Veall. You can find Dan on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, soon to be YouTube. His channel is up and running. It is ready there to subscribe to, but the videos are probably going to be flying off the shelves probably middle part of January. Would you say, they're going to be start filling up?
I mean, lockdown is filling us with lots and lots of
content and bits and bobs.
I would say issues with getting stuff done because of not being able to do certain types of work, or whatever. But the intention is certainly there to pull my finger out and create something, do something hopefully a little bit different, or something sort of worthwhile watching. But either way, I am available to talk all things, certainly bass guitar.
So, Dan Veall, bassist on Instagram, on Facebook. You can find his pages. I will put links to those in a separate comment later on today. Make sure you get hold of Dan. Anything musical, whether it be instruments or just general music, Dan is quite happy to talk to you, maybe point you in the direction of somebody if he doesn't know the answer to that. There's not a problem with that. So, again, stay in contact. Make sure we do approach these people that I interview. That's what they're there for. These are professionals in their field, or at least trying to con everybody into thinking that is the way. So but as you say you can do it and figure it out later. But I must reiterate, if somebody asks you to do open heart surgery and you're just a barista, maybe steer away from saying yes.
Yeah, it's probably a
keep with like the kind of field of the industry that you currently have an idea on. Maybe don't venture out and go, I'm going to go start fixing Ferraris, but all I know how to do is, just like fix taps. So, it is, stay away from where your skills don't lie.
Which I think caused a massive sort of anger in the field of musicians recently. You can't have missed it really, the retrain advertisements. I understand that the actual advertisements were for something else, but they just happened to come back up. Show the ugly faces at the wrong time. And I think a lot of musicians and people in the arts were quite upset that something that they quite literally spent 20 years training in, simply being told to go and do something different. It's quite difficult, but that's an avenue of conversation another day, I guess.
I think that's an angry avenue. We're happy to be happy because it's an angry interview, because it is justified to be an angry interview, because there's not just me and you in the arts world, as I like to call it, arts in general. It's a big it's a category that we all come under, whether you're an artist in dancing, performing, actual arts as in drawing and painting. Arts is a big word, and to turn around and go, but maybe you should think about getting a real job. It's quite offensive. It's quite offensive to the point where it's it's not a joke anymore, and I wouldn't be surprised people start picketing for those sorts of things as well, because this has been a fantastic year of being vocal about what you care about. So. I generally just hope that everybody that's in any sort of arts industry bounces back from it and gets to enjoy their career again. Because we sympathise. I miss it. Some aren't as lucky as us who get to do our work from home. But so we do appreciate you. So if you're watching this back or watching it live, thank you very much. And we appreciate you, all of you. And we can't wait to have you back. I think we're going to end the show today. Only because it is that time. Well, for me, it's sports. There's sports on today, and I love sports, so I'm going to be going off to watch my sports. But Mr Dan Veall, thank you ever so much for joining us on the show today. As I ask all my guests, would you mind coming back on the show next year to give us an update on your YouTube channel?
Do you know what? I'd love to.
Thank you.
We know each other anyway.
We do know each other.
We've got to talk about that as well, actually.
We will do. I think next year, for those that are obviously subscribing to my YouTube channel, which is just Chaturday Live, and the Facebook and the Instagram and Twitter, self-plug, thank you very much. I appreciate that as well. I was planning on just, when the year is finished, closing it all down and saying thank you very much, but I've had a high demand from one person saying I need to continue. So, I think I'm going to continue it into next year, regardless with the current situation with COVID, because I enjoy it. And the show's getting bigger and better every week. And eventually I'll figure out how to actually live stream onto the correct pages as well.
It was a glitch.
It was a glitch. It's only me. Again, if there's anybody out there rewatching this and you are into IT or production or would like to be a free apprenticeship, because I don't get paid for this, believe it or not, although I do look like I have millions of pounds of production equipment. If you'd like to help out on the show, please do get in contact, because any help would be appreciated. But yes, Mr Dan Veall, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Say bye-bye, Dan.
Goodbye, Dan.
We'll catch you. Cheers. Bye, Dan. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for joining us on the show. As I've said, if you or anybody you know has an interesting hobby, talent, skill, business that they'd like to promote on the page, please do get in touch. Next week's show, we have the fantastic Sue Banner, who's wrote a children's book in lockdown and had it published, and it's available on the internet, and she's going to kindly come onto the show next week and speak to us about it. She was probably going to be very nervous because it's going to be her first time public speaking about her book, but she will probably really appreciate the support. I will post more comments about Sue being on the show, but I've read the children's book and it's fantastic, and and I'm going to be really excited to speaking to Sue. That's Sue Banner. She'll be on the show next week. And if anybody remembers from last week, I said something about sports and I was going to be doing something that is still going ahead. But due to current situations with football and grassroots football being on and off, we've had to postpone it. And it will go ahead at some point this month, possibly the 19th. So if you're into sports and football and like to hear a live, on-scene interview, I'm not going to be in my fantastic $1 million studio. I'm going to be out on the road doing an interview about sports, and I will post more about that when I have the confirmation, but that will probably be on the 19th. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget you can still buy the Chaturday Live mugs. All proceeds go to Help for Heroes. We are supporting mental health awareness. You can get hold of me directly on the page. We'll send these out before Christmas. If you'd like to donate to charity and have something in return, this is the best way to do it. It just has, all that meaning, especially with Help for Heroes. It's helping fantastic charities. And again, as we like to end the show, if you are or know anybody that is suffering from mental health or just in general wants to have a chat, our Facebook Messenger app is open 24/7, and it's me. So I'm happy to talk to anybody. Please just get hold of us. Or any of my guests that have been on the show in the past have all opted in to being a friendly voice on the other end of the line as well. So feel free to just send them a message and just start a conversation. We're here for each other. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's been Jason Robinson. Thank you very much for watching Chaturday Live. We'll see you all again next week. Ta-da.